What's going on, guys, and welcome back to Superhero Gains. So by now, hopefully you've all had a chance to see Avengers Infinity War, and if you haven't, then what are you still doing here? Go and see the movie, because this video is going to touch on some minor spoilers, nothing major, but still, you want to go into that movie knowing as little as possible. So this is your official spoiler warning. So with that out of the way, let's get on with this video. So today I want to talk about one of the new characters we were introduced to in Infinity War, one of the members of the Black Order or Children of Thanos, whichever you prefer to call them, and that character is Ebony Maw. So I have heard some different opinions on the Black Order and how they were portrayed in the film. Some people gave them really great reviews, some people said that they got a bit shunted and that we didn't get to see the character development we were looking for, but that might just be in comparison with Thanos, who got a lot of character development. Personally, I really enjoyed the Black Order. I thought they were a definite threat to the Avengers, and even though they weren't main villains, they definitely felt they had a bit more of a presence than I was expecting. And out of all of them, Ebony Maw was definitely my favourite, and I felt I think he did get the most screen time, but his character was definitely the most interesting. So the movie version of Ebony Maw is very different than the comic book version. In the comics, particularly in the Infinity 2013 storyline, he didn't have the powers of telekinesis that he showed in Infinity War. Instead, he's an individual that doesn't really have any powers, but he's really good at persuading people, and his words are his weapons. He was even able to convince Doctor Strange to release Shumagorath and then forget the entire time that he'd been under his influence. And Doctor Strange is meant to have one of the most powerful minds in the Marvel Universe, so for Ebony Maw to do that and take control of his mind in that way, that's definitely impressive. So like I said earlier, his power set in Avengers Infinity War is massively different from this, and instead of it being persuasion based, it's more telekinesis based. However, during the scene where Ebony Maw is torturing Doctor Strange to try and get him to give up the Time Stone, this does seem like it could be a nod to his comic book version, where he uses his powers to get the information or get what he wants out of people. But apart from that, the main use of his powers we get to see are the pretty standard sort of telekinesis, throwing objects around, but also manipulating the environment, like the way he used the bricks against Doctor Strange or wrapped the metal piping around his neck to capture him. That was something different, and we definitely haven't seen that kind of thing in the MCU, so it definitely didn't feel overused. Like, if we saw that kind of thing in an X-Men movie, it wouldn't feel new, because we've seen countless people with your standard telekinesis-based powers, but in the MCU, it's definitely something new. I'd say the only other person who comes close to that kind of power set would be Scarlet Witch, but again, the way she uses her powers does seem very different to Ebony Maw. So now I want to talk about why I think they changed this, and why it was a good thing that they didn't stick to Ebony Maw as he's seen in the comics. So the only other example I can think of someone having the power of persuasion was from X-Men Origins Wolverine, and it was when Wolverine's girlfriend/wife, she had the power of persuasion, which she used on people throughout the film. And the main problem with using persuasion-based powers is that it looks too similar to something we've seen multiple times in the MCU. As far as us, the audience, are concerned, it's going to look too similar to basic mind control. We saw that plenty of times in the first Avengers film when Loki had the Mind Stone. We also saw it in Age of Ultron briefly, where Scarlet Witch messed with the Avengers' minds. And I guess we kind of saw it with Bucky in his story arc, where he's had his mind manipulated by Hydra. So if they were to throw that again in this film, it wouldn't seem like anything new. And if they did use the whole persuasion-based power where Ebony Maw took control of Doctor Strange like he did in the Infinity storyline, then that's going to seem exactly like what happened to Hawkeye in the first Avengers film. And honestly, I just don't think it would have worked well in this film. It wouldn't have stood out very much. And also, it would have meant there would have been a period of time throughout the film where Doctor Strange is not on the Avengers side, or he's being manipulated, and I just don't think they had time to put that kind of thing in this film, which was already so overpacked. And like I said, Ebony Maw's power set of telekinesis, it's not really something we've seen that much in the MCU, because most of the characters, they're either full-on strength-based like Thor and Hulk, or mainly tech-based. A lot of these telekinetic powers are the kind of things you see a lot in the X-Men films, but we haven't seen in the MCU, so it was really refreshing to see that kind of thing, and it really gave a different kind of fight scene. But aside from Ebony Maw's powers, I really enjoyed just his personality, and whenever he was on screen, all those speeches he gave about Thanos, like when he was saying they should rejoice that they're being sacrificed and helping bring balance to the universe, he came across really creepy, like he was the leader of a cult. And anytime he was on screen, I really enjoyed those moments. The only downside I would say is that during the Infinity storyline from 2013, Ebony Maw did have his own agenda where he was working not against Thanos, but he had his own goals on the sideline. So it would have been nice to see that perhaps in this film, because he did come across as a sneaky, manipulative character who, and you never knew what he was thinking. But we never got to see that played out, and it seemed right up until the very end he was completely loyal to Thanos, so it would have been nice to see him have his own agenda. But apart from that, I really enjoyed his performance, and even just all of the Black Order in general. But let me know what you thought. What did you think about Ebony Maw? Do you think that he should have been kept the same as the comics? Do you like the changes that were made? And what did you think about the film as a whole? And especially, give me your thoughts about the Black Order. Leave those in the comments below. And if you are new to Superhero Gains, then consider subscribing. Like I say before, it's called Superhero Gains, but it's really just Marvel, well, mainly MCU. But if that's what you like, then be sure to subscribe. If you haven't, then check out my full spoiler discussion for Avengers Infinity War, and I will link that down in the description below. But until then, I will see you in the next one.